like Roseola. What's that? What? I thought I knew what it was. I thought I'm not gonna get fooled by it anymore. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about Roseola or Roseola, however you wanna call it, because at this point both of my kids had it. Most of you probably have no idea what it is. That's why I'm making this video, because I did not know what it was. None of my mom friends seem to know what it is. None of my family members knew. So since both of my kids had it, and actually both times I couldn't tell what it was because the symptoms were also different, and I have a whole story to tell. So this is a story time video, just to share my experience and warn you mamas that this exists. And apparently 90% of kids from age of 6 months to like 3 years old get this virus, and only 33% actually get the symptoms. So both of my kids were in those 33%, and it was very confusing. And with Michaela, with my first, it was kind of scary. So yeah, the whole story is there. But in case you're new here, welcome. First of all, my name is Karyna. I'm so glad to have you. I'm a full-time mom. I have 2 kids. One is 3-year-old, her name is Michaela, and I have a baby boy. He is about to turn 8 months old as I'm filming this. Both of them had Roseola or Roseola. Today I'm going to share that experience with you. But in general, here on my channel, besides sharing my experience, I also share my life. I share tips and tricks, ideas. So in case this sounds like something you would like to watch, because with this content I'm trying to make motherhood and fatherhood just a bit easier on you, subscribe, hit the bell icon. I post every single Thursday, and sometimes I do a bonus video here and there. I have my little one on the background making noises. He's gonna probably appear in this video soon, so sorry about that. Anyways, let's get into the video. So first of all, I never said that on my channel, I never shared it, but since it happened twice, since I have this growing platform, I thought the more parents know, you know, the easier in a way your motherhood and fatherhood can get. That's my goal here. So Michaela had it when she was 19 months old. So Roseola or Roseola is a virus. You can get it, well, your kid can get it anywhere from other kids. You can't prevent it other than, you know, like washing your hands and like regular hygiene, but not really. There is no way that, you know, you did something wrong and your kid got it. Our kids do not get the immunization shots for this virus, and it's not that scary, although with Michaela it kind of was. Your child gets fever for a few days, and then your child gets a rash, and it's also very contagious. So with Michaela, she was 19 months old, and she just started having very high fever all of a sudden, and it probably lasted for about like 3 or 4 days. Not quite sure for how long. It's different for every child, but with Michaela it seemed like it was forever, because we were not sleeping well. She was having, like I said, very high fevers, like 104 Fahrenheit, 40 Celsius, up to that numbers. And it was scary because she was still little. She was like 19 months, 1 year and a half, and she's also like petite. She was tiny, she was still breastfeeding, so she felt like a baby, you know. So no other symptoms whatsoever, but obviously she felt really bad. She was constantly nursing through the night, she was sweating, it was horrible. So one of the nights I didn't know what to do. I got so afraid that something, you know, can happen to her, that this fever can affect her in some way, which actually a pediatrician later on told me that high fever for a healthy child who is not an, you know, especially who is not an infant anymore, who is over 1 year old, or if he or she over 3 months old, is like okay. You just keep giving them, you know, Tylenol, Motrin, and then it's fine. Of course you should consult your pediatrician, obviously, but I shouldn't have been that worried. So in the middle of the night I woke everybody up to go to ER, and that was one of the most horrible experiences of my life. If you can avoid going to ER with your kids, try to avoid it at all costs. If you have concerns about their health, about what's going on, try to get in to your pediatrician's office during the business hours. So I basically overweighted. I did not decided to call pediatrician or like go get in during the business hours, and then I started freaking out at night and I couldn't wait till the morning. And yeah, I thought something is really wrong. We went to ER, we got diagnosed with something totally wrong that she didn't have. They told us she has ear infection. They gave us antibiotics to give her. All the procedures, like regular procedures they did there, it was really uncomfortable. Like they took her rectal temperature, which was super uncomfortable for a 19-month-old who's having fever. Obviously, like in this you know, environment of ER and all these people she doesn't know. This was actually before COVID, at least. And still all the viruses and whatever you can get there, so that's definitely not the place you want to go. But we ended up going there, and they gave her a lot of Tylenol, I believe it was. But she's a kind of a child that she hates taking any medicine. At least she used to be at that point. And that nurse literally like held her like this. She closed her nose so that she can open her mouth. She was choking with that medicine. It was terrifying. It was horrible. I felt like a terrible mother for taking her there. But when we left, you know, they prescribed us antibiotics, and we were like, yeah, okay, at least we know what it is and we're gonna treat it. And obviously she hated taking antibiotics, and obviously antibiotics are not good for you when you don't have any ear infection, because in like a couple of days, don't remember the timeline, I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna tell you better about Leonardo's situation because it was recently. So in a couple of days we wake up, I change her out of her pajamas, and I see this rash all over her body, mostly on her stomach and her face. And I was terrified again. I was like, what is that? Is that a reaction to antibiotics? So it was actually Sunday. I had to like try to get somebody on call, and I ended up talking to our doctor, and she was like, that sounds like Roseola. I'm like, what's that? So she explained it to me that the fever without symptoms, and then actually like the whole point is that the fever goes away when the rash appears. So she said it really sounds like Roseola, and she wanted to see her next day. So we went in, and she basically diagnosed her with that. She told us to stop taking antibiotics because her ears looked fine. I don't know why they did it to us, why they did it to her, because she did not touch her ears. You know, it just seemed to a doctor in the ER that her ear was not fine, which in a couple of days the other doctor said it was fine. Anyways, it was a really bad experience. I was very worried about my child, and I had no idea what it can be, you know, high fever with no symptoms. So in case you're still listening at this point, if your child has high fever with no symptoms, of course discuss this with your pediatrician, but keep in mind that this can be Roseola. So you just have to be there for the ride. You just have to support your child, breastfeed them if they're breastfeeding, cuddle them, give them, you know, the pain medicine, whatever your doctor tells you, and that's it. There is nothing you can do about it. There is no treatment. You just have to go through it. So at that point I was like, yeah, I know what Roseola is right now. Like, I can totally detect it next time. And going back now, I realized that Michaela had some fever, but for like 1, maximum 2 days without any symptoms, 2 more times in her life. And I think one of those times was when we were all sick with COVID, and previous time we had no idea what was it, but she did not end up having a rash. And supposedly when you get Roseola once, then you have that immunity toward it. So this time around with Leonardo, it happened literally 2 weeks ago. He was having fever, but he was having it only at night, and it was low-grade fever. And during the day he would have, you know, just a little bit of elevated temperature, 99.2, 99.5. He was uncomfortable, but there was no other symptoms. I really thought it was teasing, because, you know, he got his 2 teeth, now probably it's time to get another set of teeth. And he was, you know, clingy and upset, and I did not end up giving him any medicine, because when he was having fever, I'm assuming he had low-grade fever, because it was at night when I felt like he was a little more hot, but I did not check in the middle of the night. So it started like Sunday night, and then in like 3 days of this kind of low-grade fever, elevated temperatures, for the most part it was not even fever, he develops a rash. And I was like, what? I thought I knew what it was. I thought I'm not gonna get fooled by it anymore. So thankfully Leonardo did not feel that bad as Michaela felt when she had it. Luckily, because yeah, that experience with Michaela was horrible. So now you know that Roseola does not have to be with a super high fever. It can also be a lower grade fever, or maybe a little bit of elevated temperature with no other symptoms, and then the rash appears. So with Leonardo it appeared very gradually. It went to the point like Michaela's was, and then it took a couple of days to go away. I called the doctors. They said, yeah, probably it sounds like Roseola. For some reason they told me it's not contagious at this point, but when I Google it, it tells you that it is contagious before the rash appears and after the rash appears. So yeah, Michaela did not get sick with that, so obviously she's immune. None of us get sick with that. Usually it's like a, you know, kids thing. Maybe we are immune to it because, you know, you see most of it says, Google says that most of the people, right, because 90% get it, only 33% have symptoms, where adults are usually immune to it. So anyways, my 7-month-old took Roseola much easier, handled it much easier than Michaela at 19 months old, and that's it. After Rash appeared, he was still clingy, he was still having like a little bit of elevated temperature, so it took about like a full week to recover from it. And that's the whole story. Now you know this exists. Now you can keep this in the back of your mind for the situation if your child has fever with no other symptoms. And you know, another advice, just don't rush to ER if it's just high fever and your child is healthy. Wait until the office opens, because kids ER, especially during pandemic, is not the place you want to be. No. But also obviously listen to your gut, because if you're really worried, there might be, you know, something wrong. If you really feel like you need to go to the ER, do it. That's what I did. That's what made me feel calm at the point. But now I've learned that if I have any concerns, I should address them during business hours and take my child to my regular doctor office, and don't wait until the night comes and nothing is open. So that's what I'm saying. Of course, I'm not advising you to never take your child to the ER. No, that's not what I'm saying. But just in case you've never been there, it's really terrible place to be. And if you can, wait until the morning, or think in advance. You might get really anxious at night if your child keeps getting fever, and especially after my child got diagnosed with something she did not have and was prescribed antibiotics that she hated taking and that messed up her health for a little while. I have that PTSD toward kids ERs in general. So yeah, get second opinions. Don't be afraid and confused if your child has high fever with no symptoms. It might be Roseola. So yeah, now you know. Let me know in the comments below if your child ever had this. Are you hearing this for the first time ever? I'm really curious, because like I said, nobody who I know, who I talked to about it, knew this existed. So let me know in the comments. Was it helpful? If so, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much for watching. And we want to wish you to have happy and healthy babies. We'll see you next week. Bye!